What's up, FA Nation? I'm Matt Selz, and I'm bringing you the PrizePicks Power Play picks for Homestead for the NASCAR Cup Series and COTA for the F1 United States Grand Prix. So let's dig right in. We're going to start with F1 here. We're going to go with Sebastian Vettel hitting the over on 0.5 F1 points. Basically, this means he needs to finish 10th or better to get over the half point. He's starting 10th, so that's a bonus. He ran a tad faster than that in FP3. He finished P8 in that session. He also ran 10th in FP1. Vettel comes into this having had 4 top 10 finishes in the last 6 F1 races this year. And overall, Aston Martin has been fast all weekend between him and his teammate Lance Stroll. So the speed should be there. He loves this track. It fits his driving style. And he's starting in a spot where if he just holds his spot, he hits the over. The next one we're going to go with for F1 is Pierre Gasly under 2.9 second first pit stop. That's right. We're going with pit stop props here. He's coming off having the fastest pit stop of the race, last race in Japan. That was like 2.35 seconds. And while there have been 6 races in which he didn't have a pit stop due to wrecking, in the other 12, the slowest pit stop for him has been 2.85 seconds, which is already faster than the 2.9 mark that PrizePicks is giving us. And on top of that, he's routinely been under 2.6 seconds a stop for most of the season. So we are going with under 2.9 seconds for the first pit stop for Pierre Gasly. Switching gears, excuse the pun, over to the NASCAR Cup Series racing at Homestead-Miami Speedway on Sunday. We're going to go with John Hunter Nemechek over 29.5 fantasy points. That's right, John Hunter is back in the Cup Series this week. He is filling in for the suspended Bubba Wallace. And with that comes the fact that he's starting P4 after running a very good qualifying and then running very, very fast in practice. In fact, in some of the metrics, he was the fastest overall car on the track. If he finishes P9 or better over the over hits without any fastest laps or laps led needed, if he finishes 9th or better, the over hits. If he finishes 10th, he's going to need a few fastest laps or laps led to hit the over. But, this car, in addition to being fast this weekend, has been fast all year. The 45 car has been fast and seen it win with Kurt Busch behind the wheel. It's also gotten a win with Bubba Wallace behind the wheel at 1.5-mile track. So it doesn't really matter who's driving this car. It's going to be fast. For the 4th prop we're going with this weekend, it's going to be Daniel Suarez under 41.5 fantasy points. I know he's been a darling of a lot of people. This isn't the weekend that he's going to be the darling unless we're betting the under, which we are. He's starting P23, which means he'll need to finish 12th or better to get to 42 fantasy points just based off of finish position and position differential. Obviously, if he has fastest laps in there, that would help. However, that seems like a stretch considering the fact that in practice, his speeds only put him 15th fastest in the long run, and his short run speeds were even slower than that. So it doesn't bode well for him. And going along with this, his average finish at the intermediates this year is 19.0, and at Homestead specifically in the last 5 races, he's finished around between 24th and 25th on average. So none of that speaks to the fact that he could finish inside the top 12 this weekend. We're taking the under for 41.5 fantasy points. And finally, wrapping it up with one last prop here, we're going to go with Noah Gragson over 11.5 cars passed. Gragson will be starting 24th on Sunday, which means he'll need to finish 12th to hit the over. So just like, the Daniel Suarez marker, we'll need Gragson to finish 12th or better to hit the over here. But the good news on his side is that he's in Bowman's 48 car, which has been fast all year at intermediates. It ran P7 with him behind the wheel in the long run speeds at practice on Saturday. That's over the 5-lap average, 10-lap average, 15-lap average, and 20-lap average. So long run speed is good. He also won the Xfinity race at Homestead on Saturday and has a perfect driving style for this track to go find the speed and make passes at this track. So to recap, we're taking Vettel over a half a point for F1 points. We're taking Pierre Gasly under 2.9 seconds for the first pit stop. We're taking the over 29.5 fantasy points for John Hunter Nemechek in the Cup race. We're taking the under on 41.5 fantasy points for Daniel Suarez. And we're taking the over on 11.5 cars passed for Noah Gragson to wrap up the Cup bets. So with that, you can check out more NASCAR and F1 DFS content over at fantasyalarm.com/NASCAR. You can find playbooks and projections and the weekly podcast for NASCAR races this week, as well as an F1 playbook for the race at COTA. So with that, here's hoping we hit and finish in the green.